All right, let's dive into something that's going to bend your mind a little. Today, we're exploring the very architecture of our digital lives, but we're going to look at it through the lens of neuroscience, tracing how the internet has basically become an extension of our own brain. So, I want you to just hang on to this question for a moment. I mean, we all think of the web as something we control, right? A tool we pick up, use, and then put down. But what if that's not the whole story? Not even close. What if the relationship is way more complicated and, maybe even a little parasitic? What if the web has actually become an environment that is actively shaping, twisting, and even using our minds? And that brings us to this core idea, mirror ecology. Think of it like this. Our digital world isn't some separate thing out there. It's more like a co-evolving partner. It's a neural extension of us, where what we do online creates these feedback loops that literally reshape the digital systems and our own brains in real time. So to really get how we ended up here, we're going to trace the web's history using this really powerful analogy, mapping its evolution right onto the development of the human brain itself. And you can really see three distinct phases, kind of like stages of life. First, you've got the primitive, almost reflexive era of Web 1.0. Then came the angsty, ego-obsessed, social anxiety-driven world of Web 2.0. And now we're in the hyper-individual but totally scattered era of Web 3.0. Let's break it down.
Web 1.0, man, that was like the internet's infancy, its brainstem. It was just a network of simple, direct connections. You clicked a link, that's the stimulus. And you got a page, that's the response. It was pure information, with no self-reflection, no social drama, no ego. It was just there.
And then everything changed with Web 2.0. The social web was born. Now, this phase is a perfect parallel to the brain's default mode network, or DMN. That's the part of your brain that lights up when you're thinking about yourself, about what others think of you. It's super active during our teenage years. And social media platforms, they're basically designed to hijack that network and keep it running 24/7. And this just hits home, doesn't it? This is the constant looping question of an overactive DMN. And it is the exact feeling that the architecture of Web 2.0 creates. It's this endless, anxious cycle of comparing yourself to others with no off switch. And this is how they get you. It creates this incredibly powerful addiction loop. We post something, we wait for the likes, we compare our numbers to everyone else's, and almost always we end up feeling like we're not enough, which of course just drives us to post again, hoping for a better result. And the key thing missing here is what scientists call co-regulation. The facial cues, the tone of voice, the physical presence that helps calm our nervous systems down in real life. Okay, so that brings us to today, Web 3.0. This era mirrors the brain's executive control network, or ECN. That's basically the CEO of your brain, responsible for planning and focus. And technologies like crypto and NFTs, they give us a ton of individual power and agency. But here's the catch. They do it in a totally fragmented way, without any of the integration that creates real meaning or coherence. And the result of all this? It's a feeling of what you could call chronic salience activation. Everything feels urgent. Everything feels important. We get locked into the state of constant vigilance, always chasing the next new thing. We have all this autonomy, but no shared story, and no real way to ever just rest. So somewhere along this evolutionary path, something fundamentally broke. There was a critical turning point, a line that the entire system crossed. The sources we're looking at call this the Kantian breach. It's a heavy term, but it's based on a really simple idea from the philosopher Immanuel Kant. He said that you must always treat human beings as an end in themselves, and never, ever just as a means to an end. This breach is the moment the web's entire business model began to systemically violate that core principle. And this is the really crucial point. The model doesn't just use us, it fundamentally redefines what we are to the system. Our attention is no longer ours. It's a currency to be captured and sold. Our data isn't our story. It's a raw resource to be mined. And our very minds, they're treated as just another node in a network, something to be predicted and controlled for profit. So if the external world, the digital world, is designed to fragment us, what can we possibly do? Where's the solution? Well, maybe it's not out there at all. Maybe it's in here. The only real defense we have is to build a powerful sense of internal coherence. Now, there's this really fascinating cutting-edge theory. It suggests that our vulnerability to all this external chaos gets amplified by our own internal chaos, specifically by chronic low-grade inflammation in the brain. Think of it like field static. It just disrupts our brain signal, making it harder to think clearly and easier for us to be manipulated. So, on one hand, you have all this stuff, processed foods, chronic stress, that cranks up the static and creates a fuzzy mental state. But on the other hand, you have practices that support coherence, things like eating whole foods or even just conscious breathing. These things can literally clear that signal, building the internal resilience we desperately need to navigate this crazy digital world.
And that brings us to the future, to a vision. If we understand the problem both outside of us and inside of us, can we actually imagine a web that's designed not to extract from us, but to help us flourish?
This is where the idea of a spiral network, or SNet, comes in. And listen, this isn't just Web 4.0. This is a totally different paradigm. It's a vision for a web that's designed to act like a mature, integrated nervous system, one that actually supports reflection, real connection, and helps us regenerate our attention.
So what would this actually feel like? Well, first, a huge shift from notifications to invitations. Think about it. A notification demands your attention. It creates urgency. It's an alarm. But an invitation respects your autonomy and your attention. It's an opportunity, not a demand. Next, we'd move away from those cheap dopamine hooks and towards creating genuine flow states. You know that incredible feeling when you're so absorbed in something that time just vanishes? That's flow. An SNet would be designed to foster that kind of deep, meaningful engagement, leaving you feeling energized, not drained. And this, right here, this is the core vision. We move from a model of extractive attention that just leads to burnout to one of regenerative attention. Imagine a digital environment that doesn't just take from you, but actually helps you replenish your focus, leaving you more coherent than when you started. Ultimately, this whole spiral journey points toward a totally different way of being. It suggests that true mastery, whether we're online or offline, isn't about controlling or dominating a fragmented world. It's about being so present, so internally coherent, that we can breathe time open and allow a much deeper, more integrated rhythm to just unfold.